All right, here we go. Betting Weekly Live here with you on a Friday, heading into the weekend on Betting Weekly Live with Mike Carver and Doug Kezirian as we get you ready for all of tonight's action. We got NBA tonight, we got NHL, we got college hoops, and of course we have got this weekend NFL Divisional Round of the playoffs. The last 8 teams, 4 great games. We get it all into it right now. Betting Weekly Studio is part of the Bet Rivers Network. Doug, happy Friday, baby. Let's go. How are you?
It's not that happy. I still have the stubble going. That means I did not win my best bet. Apparently, Washington State players have never been defended because they panic and throw the ball across court, and those are intercepted for live ball turnovers. Very frustrating, but we hit every other wager. So good night across the board, but that's par for the course.
We did have a good night everywhere else, honestly, and Hawaii got there for me on that side. And how about the gutty effort by Bryant early in the night, coming back? They were down to UMBC, looked like they were letting go of the rope early in the second half, and they stormed back to force overtime and then blew them out in the overtime. Easy OT cover for Bryant last night at home. So nice job there. And I did, I got the fire text from you late night. That had to be the Vegas-Toronto game that you were lighting me up with those fires.
No, I was joking that I'm on fire with best bets, but
because that was going on
fire
simultaneously.
Yeah, that was a great comeback by the Kings, or Golden Knights, excuse me. You know who is on fire? Coach of the Year candidate Doug Gottlieb in the Horizon League. Yes. So 15-point win as a 2.5-point favorite. That really should have been my best bet. I had a good feeling about that one, but we move on.
Another one where they blew the doors off him in the second half. I mean, they just completely tore him up last night. Hey, we keep it rolling here tonight and this weekend on Betting Weekly Live. Let's start it up, Doug. Of course, NFL Divisional Round, 4 games, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday, and we will kick things off in Denver just after 4:30 East. Bills and the Broncos. Broncos coming off the bye, now 1.5-point favorite at home. Bills after the win in Jacksonville, and a very, very lengthy injury report heading into Mile High. 45.5 total's gone down a little bit here too.
This line makes sense. We talked about it the other day. Sharp money came in on the Jaguars against the Bills, so it only makes sense that it was going to come on the 1-seeded Broncos, especially with that mash unit element that is plaguing Buffalo. Clearly, the Bills have the best player in the game with Josh Allen, but I don't know what much else they have. I think the Broncos are going to be just fine in this game. I think that defense is really going to put a lot of pressure on Josh Allen. Remember he was a shell of himself against the Texans earlier this season. Really, really limited when a defensive front can smother him, and I think Denver can do that. Now, Sean Payton tends to play with his food a little bit at times and get too cute and not choke, but just kind of mess around. But I think they're going to be locked in. I mean, this Broncos team at its best, but that's the concern. We don't always get their best. But when they are at their best, I think they're almost unbeatable with that defense. And there's enough weapons, and Bo Nix, the play calling, puts them in a position to succeed. So there's a lot I like with Denver in that regard. So I'm going to lay the 1.5 here. Not a big play, but I think the Broncos will be buttoned up here and at home, and really that defense should keep this one tight.
Yeah, look, it all points to Denver. I mean, obviously I have some emotional stake in this, and it seems like everything is kind of stacked against Buffalo if you just look at it from the outside. I mean, you have the rest versus the short rest for the Bills, the long rest for the Broncos. The Bills have like 30 guys on their injury report. They have basically 3 healthy wide receivers going into this game. I just go back to, as you said, they do have the best player in the game, and they do have a good pass defense, and Denver's run game isn't great with Harvey and McLaughlin. So we need to see Denver actually be able to exploit Buffalo's biggest weakness on D. And I know times change, Doug, but the last 2 times they played him, including the playoff game last year, the Bills have been able to run on Denver. And they have a couple of extra pieces this year, but for the most part, it's a lot of the same guys that were on the defense a year ago. Cook had 120 yards in that game. They've ran for 344 yards the last 2 games against Denver over the past couple of years. So, that's the thing for me. If they're able to run, unlike last week against Jacksonville, and they're going to have some longer drives, keep their defense off the field, there's definitely a path here for Buffalo to get this done. So whether you want to call it emotional or not, Doug, I'm taking my guy number 17 to get it done in Denver tomorrow.
I think that's fair. I just, he doesn't play half the game, right?
Yes.
He's off the field.
Yes.
And I hate quarterback win-loss records and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, look, if he has the ball in his hand late and they've done some stuff during the game, I'm not going to enjoy my wager. But I think over the course of the game, I trust that the Broncos are just healthier and sharper.
The Bills need to have this game in the fourth quarter like last week's game. They need to make this a one-possession game where they're hopefully getting the ball somewhat last and be able to. That's the game. If they get down a couple scores in this game, it could be trouble for them, although Allen's been pretty good at that too throughout the year. So Bills and Broncos, the first game of our weekend, 4:30. I'll ask you this too before we move on, and we're going to do some props on this game later on, Doug, but 45.5. I mean, if you like the Broncos, are you thinking that this is an under game with their defense?
I go back and forth because I think the Denver offense is better than people are giving it credit for, especially against this potentially leaky Buffalo defense. But I also don't think the Bills are going to be able to go up and down on them like they did last week with the Jags. So I probably lean a little under, but it's not a play.
There you go for the Bills and the Broncos. I think it gets over because that's the game I'm kind of looking. I think that the Bills want to maybe get the game up and down a little bit, score some points, and try to exploit some things. All right, night game, second game on Saturday, just after 8:00 East in Seattle. Niners and the Seahawks. Of course, we just saw this, Doug, a couple Saturdays ago. Final game of the regular season in Week 18, where the Seahawks won the NFC West and the 1 seed. Now -7 for them off of a bye week, 45 flat the total.
I really like Seattle here. It's my co-favorite play of the weekend, if you will. I just think the Niners are too banged up, really nicked up on defense. Guys who weren't even on the roster a month ago are suited up in this game. I think last week took a lot out of them. Not that this travels a lot, but it is consecutive road games. And on offense, with no Kittle, the line's banged up. I know Shanahan's a wizard, but they're not great at playing from behind. I just think the Seahawks are going to be fresher and rolling. Now, sometimes you don't want a week off. And maybe Seattle was just on a roll, but I think they're going to be just fine. Now, this injury news with Darnold surfacing randomly at the last second here with the oblique does concern me. As long as he's fine, I think Seahawks -7 is great line value. I think they win this one like 27-13 or 27-10.
That's the biggest problem for me in this game. Like, I could absolutely see the Seahawks mauling the Niners tomorrow night. The Darnold stuff holds me back, Doug. It really does. And with good reason. Like, he's under a lot of pressure. All of these guys, who has to win more than Sam Darnold this weekend to wipe away a lot of things that people say about him? And then to have this oblique stuff happen just 2 days before the game, really strange for Darnold. I still got to play him to throw a pick, Doug. That's like a Sam Darnold special. I know we've done it. We've had some Seahawk games primetime this year where you've talked about, playing them on the money line, playing him to throw a pick. You can kind of get it both ways. Obviously, the spread's a little bit bigger for that to try to go that angle. But I still think that him throwing an interception is a pretty good one, whether they win or lose.
I was going to ask. It sounds like you answered it, and the answer is both. But you said the Darnold angle gives you concern. So I was going to ask, is it more like the pressure and the fact that he's Sam Darnold, or the fact that he's got this oblique injury?
I think it's 75% that he's Sam Darnold and he's got the pressure, and 25% the oblique. I think Seattle wins the game, Doug. I'm nervous about laying 7 with him because of that. I think he's finally going to get he's going to get a playoff winner. I think he's going to play better. How could he not? Than how he played against the Rams last year in that loss with the Vikings. But I'm just nervous about laying the 7 with him because I don't know if maybe he does throw 2 picks and puts them in position for easy scores. So that's the stuff that gives me a little trepidation with backing Darnold that much.
Yeah, I'm actually on the other side. I've totally flipped the script with him.
Okay.
I feel like he's exercised a lot of demons. He had essentially a couple playoff games last year with Week 18, and then the actual playoff game this year. That comeback, I think, flushed out the system, and I think he's going to be just fine. I think we're poised for a nice little playoff run. I'm even dabbling in the Super Bowl MVP market. If you can get
Ooh.
Bet Rivers, they're offering plus 475, whereas Seattle, obviously, we talk about this for the Super Bowl, the MVP of the quarterback odds and all that. They're plus 280. So plus 475 versus plus 280, I think is worth it to get the starting quarterback of the team that will likely be favored if they reach the Super Bowl, right? We're talking a scenario where they're in the Super Bowl. I think Darnold's going to be key to get there. I think he can. Now they're going to run a lot, and I think, like you used the word maul. I actually do think they're going to be able to maul him. But I'm in on Darnold this year.
And look, I think I love the Super Bowl MVP angle because it's so rare, right, that you get a favorite, one of the 2 or 3 favorites, and that the number is that wide of a gap between them winning the Super Bowl and the quarterback's MVP number. They're usually pretty close together. It's usually a little bit more, but not. I mean, that's like $2, Doug. We're talking kind of difference between the two. That seems like a lot for a guy who could be this, who's going to be the starting quarterback of a potential Super Bowl team. That's healthy.
And unless there's a defensive score, you can't give it to a bunch of defenders, right? Can't just be like the 12th man or whatever, the Legion of Boom or something like that. So,
yeah.
I mean, JSN could have a big, I think it's a good value play. I think before this game, because I think he's going to be able to throw all day on this defense.
Purdy to throw an interception, Walker longest rush over 16.5 at plus 150 for Scott there. And I also saw in the chat box as we were talking about this game, somebody bring up, which is another great point when it comes to Darnold, Doug. And that is, even when that injury stuff came out yesterday, line didn't budge an inch. I mean, it didn't budge an inch, which makes you think that
I mean, it's 7.5, then down to 7. I think the money's coming in on the Niners, and it's not moving. It's gone the other way from 6.5 to 7. So I think this is a bloodbath.
Okay. Niners and Seahawks.
Maybe
Saturday night.
Bloodbath's a little strong, but
Maul.
I think it's a lopsided
Stick
game.
with Maul, Doug. We like Maul. Throw that in there.
Maul.
I already have Seahawk futures. Throw some pizza money on JSN Super Bowl MVP. Honestly, Brendan, I think that would be the guy. Like,
he's the only guy.
It's Darnold and JSN, right, Doug? Like it's not Walker or Charbonnet. It's not somebody on defense. Those are the 2 guys you want to focus on if you want to start getting some Seahawks stuff ready, potentially for a few weeks from now in Santa Clara. All right, Sunday. First game will be just after 3:00 East in New England at Foxborough between the Texans and the Patriots. Right now at Bet Rivers, Pats -3. And our lowest total, Doug, of the weekend, 40.5 for this one.
Weather's a factor here. My co-best bet, along with the Seahawks, is the Patriots. I think last week unfolded perfectly for New England. I think you have a young team, minimal playoff experience, and sometimes they don't understand what it takes to kind of succeed in the playoffs, the urgency, the aggression. It's just not another regular season game. And I think Vrabel got that scare, for lack of a better word, into his offense. And I think they probably had a really buttoned up week of practice. Whereas Houston kind of just played with their food. Pittsburgh kind of stinks. And then they had that fourth quarter and it was loosey-goosey. And now they got to go on the road again. Shaky offense. I don't know. No Nico Collins. I think all signs point to the Patriots here. Now, I understand their schedule and blah, blah, blah. I'd rather lay the 3. I think I have a better coach. I have a better quarterback. I'm at home, conducive weather. And I think the game plan is going to be really smart.
I forget, Doug, if on Wednesday it was you or Macero who said this, but one of you guys said that this should be 5 instead of 3. Might have been him. Might have been. And it really had me thinking about this game for like the last 2 days. And you're so right. Like, I think that this is just off of people saw the Texans beat up in the second half on Rodgers and the Steelers, and they think that this defense is the 85 Bears now. And they're very, very good. But I think all around 1 through 53, the Patriots are better, especially when they're not going to have Nico Collins and Stroud looked as bad as he did Monday night. I love New England too, Doug, on Sunday. I think that they're going to comfortably take care of this, 7 to 10 point win, in that area. It's probably an under. It might look like, you know what, Doug? It might look like the Charger game. Not as bad. I don't think it can be as bad as Herbert in the offense was that night, but I think it's going to look like that. It's close, low scoring for a little while, and New England just, chips across enough field goals and a touchdown to make it like a 17-7 game or something like that.
Yeah, and I don't think Stroud's going to have 3 picks or whatever it was,
Right.
but he looked sort of just shook, and I was strange. So I don't know if like another road game in another hostile environment is going to be much better.
So weird. And I've been talking about this way too. Like the guy's won 3 playoff games now, Stroud, right? Like he's got 3 playoff wins, which is a lot more than some of these other guys, but he's looked so bad in a couple of them that it's pretty amazing that he's got 3 of them. Texans and Pats, the first game. Now the last game of the weekend, Sunday, just after 6:30 East, Rams and the Bears in Chicago. -4 for the Rams right now, 48.5 the total. And they're ending again today, Doug. It's going to be cold. Now we've gone from like -5 wind chill to -20. People are pumping up now, and potential snow and all of these other things. Can the Bears keep the magic carpet ride going with the mighty Rams in town?
I lean Bears just because the Rams, just the travel and the cold weather and Stafford's record and performance statistics in this type of weather. But this Bears defense is not good. They're terrible in the first halves, apparently. I talked to a sharp guy today, and he's just like, I don't see how the Rams don't put up 30. I'm like, I don't see how they buckle in the cold. So I just, you can't have a really strong conviction on every game. I think this is the one where I'm going to have to sit back and watch. The Rams do stupid things, right? The end of the first half last week, special teams, block punt. You just can't keep getting away with this stuff. So now the Bears are the poster child for playing with fire. 7 wins after trailing in the final 2 minutes of regulation. That's an NFL record, including playoffs. Pretty remarkable stuff. I do like that McVay is consulting Matt LaFleur for a little scouting report on the Bears. All's fair in war, If the Bears roll them, if the Rams roll them, fine. I just lean Bears here.
I do like that little angle that's come across here the last couple of days where McVay and LaFleur are obviously so tight, and everyone's upset with how Ben Johnson acted towards LaFleur with the handshake and the F this, F that in the post game, and their coaching staff, that McVay's like out to get Johnson now here on Sunday to help his friend out. I get all that, but what comes back to me, Doug, is I think McVay is, if not one of the best in the business, and he's a pretty smart dude. And I think he understands his quarterbacks 1-9 in these rain/snow outdoor games. And I think he's going to lean heavily on a run game with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum against a Bear defense that, yes, they cause turnovers, but they're also bottom 5 in like every rushing defense category. I think he's coming in to bully ball on the ground, and I think that's his path to success. The only thing, Doug, that like pauses me, again, I got another pause, just like I did with Seattle, is in laying 4 points in this game, is that the stuff with the Bears this year has just been unexplainably mystifying. Like they have some kind of juju and magic carpet, and that's what pauses me. But I think McVay is going to have the game plan to go in and win this game without maybe Stafford having to do much.
Yeah, and isn't there a scenario where Caleb Williams just plays well from the beginning, and the Bears are buttoned up, and maybe the defense doesn't, but he can sling it, and they don't need to be backs against the wall to lead a comeback. There's an element of that. So that's been why my wheels are spinning. I just feel like I can be all over the place in this game, and that's why I've just preferred to avoid.
Scott's got their Rams team total over 26.5 at -125. I was going to ask you about the total next because obviously opened 50.5, 51, down to 48.5 because of all of the scary weather news. I'm going to tell you, Doug, I ain't scared. I like the over 48.5. I think we can go up and away. All these guys playing cold. They're not all going to be sitting. This is not the Ice Bowl. This is not -60. They're going to be able to play. Both defenses allow the running game to get going. And I think we could score points that way with some big chunk plays. I'm taking the over, Doug.
Yeah, I mean, look, when they say the totals, when it comes to these kind of weather games, it's all about the wind. But when it's about snow and the footing, really, it helps the offense because the offense knows where the play is going and the defense doesn't, and they're the ones that have to react. I just don't trust Stafford. So I know we had a commenter with the team total 26 and a
Yep.
half. I just can't get involved. I just can't. Um, I mean, Nakua's awesome, and there's a bunch of yak with him and everything else, and the tight ends, and McVay's a wizard. I just think it's going to be really cold, and I just don't have a good read, and that's okay. That doesn't mean I'm right. I just means I'm not firing on the game.
Steve, I feel like the defenses this weekend will eat. Each quarterback is live to throw an interception. Can we get a parlay number for that, Doug? Every quarterback to throw an interception this weekend. All eight of them. Huh? All wow. 8 quarterbacks to throw a pick.
What a sweat.
That is, you know what? While you're talking, I'm going to start to build it and see what we get to. But that is, you think about it. Yeah, I mean, look, that's crazy stuff to hit, but to have a fun little Happy Meal bet that you can kind of mess around with, you never could have turned me away from stuff like that, Doug. I always love those, and that will lead us into player props for this weekend. Let's get a couple. Why don't you start with maybe a little rushing quarterback action for the weekend?
Yeah, and last week I explained it, but I don't think it really is my rationale here. So basically, quarterbacks are willing to do whatever it takes, and so it's different than the regular season, right? It's all hands on deck, whatever it takes. So guys are going to tuck it and run that don't normally run a ton, like Brock Purdy, things like that. But I was doing some reading, and they think Bo Nix is going to have a lot of designed runs against this Bills team. They think Sean Payton's playing the long game, where they've kept, I don't know, a few plays close to the vest and haven't unleashed him, saving him for the playoffs, so to speak. So I think Nix with his legs is going to be a giant weapon. This number feels really low, all things considered. It's worth mentioning. We know this by now, but in college, sack yards count against the rushing total, but not the pros. So if he gets sacked a little bit, I just think the Broncos are going to have options, and he's going to be rollouts, and he's going to be able to take off. So I like that prop a little bit.
I will just throw my quarterback rushing one in there too, since it kind of correlates with the quarterback running. I think it's Caleb Williams for me. It's under 20. And if you've watched Caleb Williams in these first couple of playoffs, I mean, he's running. Like last week against the Packers, he ran down the stretch. He was running a little bit more in these games that are close late. I mean, over 18 and a half, he could get that on one, Doug. Caleb Williams. Like that is, whenever there's a chance a guy could get it on one, it kind of opens my eyes a little more. So I'm going to take Caleb Williams over the 18 and a half.
I can get behind that. He's eager to do that. He dove head first on like first down. So he could have slid at like 8 yards, but dove across the on first down. So it wasn't like it was fourth down. So I can see that. I think, again, it's talking about Sam Darnold earlier. Now it's like these first playoff games, the jitters. That's why I think Drake May is going to be a lot better. I think Williams is going to be pretty damn solid in this game.
I did the legwork for us, Doug. Every quarterback to throw an interception this weekend in the 4 games, it's about 149 to 1. So a little $10 Happy Meal bet would win you $14.98. About 150 to 1 it gets to. That's if you round it up just a touch. So all 8 quarterbacks to throw an interception. A funsy bet for us there, Doug. Have a little fun with us. All right, next. You know what? You have an interception on here. So tell us about your interception since I did that.
Well, I think the Texans are going to have to be playing from behind. Stroud was reckless last week, 3 picks at -113. I mean, how do we not get involved? All those tips, we saw a lot of linemen with Herbert get their paws on it, and a lot of stunts and a lot of misdirection rushing. Christian Gonzalez is back and healthy for New England, so he's a full speed ahead, cleared to play. I'd be surprised if Stroud doesn't throw a pick. I really would.
I will go Darnold, which is -118 for him in our single interception. In case I don't play the 8-leg, everybody to throw an interception, I'm going to go with Darnold to throw one for Seattle. And Seattle, we got a game prop for Seattle, Doug.
So you mentioned the word maul, and I think that can be, I don't know, executed in a few different ways. They can just steamroll them and run a bunch and have some like 23-yard touchdown runs to cap off a drive like we saw in the first meeting. We can also have JSN running wide open because he's the slickest and smoothest. His routes are just impossible to detect which way he's going. And then you also have Shakir on the punt return. You also have defensive touchdowns. If Purdy's under fire, scoop and scores. So I think team touchdowns. I think McDonald's not going to settle for field goals here. I think we're getting touchdowns. It is $1.82, so that's aggressive. But I mean, are we looking at a 17-6 game? Like, I just think we're going to get some scoring, and they're going to maul them one way or another, even if it's whether it's the pocket collapsing, running all over them. I think the Niners defense is leaky, as depleted as it is. And I think the Niners aren't going to be able to like sustained 13 play drives, matriculating up the field to chew clock. I think they're going to be chunk plays for the Seahawks. I think this is a good bet.
Seahawks over 2.5 team touchdowns, minus 182 at Bet Rivers for tomorrow night. Pats, we talked about against the Texans on Sunday afternoon. Drake May maybe going to be throwing the ball around a little bit, Doug.
I think to neutralize that pass rush of the Texans, right? They have that front four that's going to just blast. I don't think Vrabel's in it. I mean, Vrabel knows what he's doing, right? I think it's going to be a lot of bubble screens, a lot of get it out of his thing, his hands, dunk offs, and a lot of that. And I like the completions more than the attempts. Yes, he can throw deep, and he has a beautiful deep ball, but I think it's going to be a lot of just wearing down this Houston pass rush, making them tired, and just being really smart with the ball. So I think Drake May is going to be locked in here in a lot of underneath stuff.
Drake May, 20-plus completions. Good number, minus 103 at Bet Rivers. All right, I always give you 3 touchdowns for the weekend.
Yeah.
We had 2 out of 3 last week on Wild Card Weekend. We'll try to keep that going. First one for me is Kyren Williams. I got to tell you, I was very surprised there was a plus in front of this. I was really surprised that there was a plus in front of this, especially since maybe it's the way I'm thinking of the game, as I told you before. I think this is going to be heavy run for the Rams. Kyren Williams at plus 125. Let's roll. Now, Corum's plus 245. Maybe you play them both. It could pop. Maybe they both score because that's happened a little bit recently for the Rams as well. But I think it's a heavy run game for LA in Chicago, and I think that that's a really good number to have for Kyren Williams. Someone's going to score for the Bills, Doug. Now, it's a little bit of a, maybe throwing a dart, trying to figure out who it's going to be. But I think it's Dawson Knox this week. We had Kincaid last week. I think there'll be some focus on Kincaid. The Bills are down to 3 healthy wide receivers, maybe 4, because it looks like they're taking Curtis Samuel off the IR today, and that he's going to be available tomorrow, but still, he's not exactly Jerry Rice. I'm going to get Knox here at plus 430. I think it's a little too heavy. Should probably be in the 3s. I'm going to go plus 430 for Dawson Knox, and I'll finish off my triple with more of a chalkier one, and that is JSN minus 107 for the Seahawks. You want over 2.5 touchdowns in that game, Doug? Well, give me JSN with one of them at minus 107.
Okay, so we're at minus money, and we talked about it in recent weeks, whether it was McCaffrey or someone along those lines. How many games has he not scored? I mean, he's such a weapon. I really think they're going to try to bleed the clock once they get a lead. And if the Niners don't put up a fight, I think JSN might be not rendered useless, but they could just maul him, like you said.
If it's a maul, I still, I think he's part of the mauling early in this game. I think if there's going to be a situation where the Seahawks are blowing their doors off early on, Darnold's hitting something big to Jackson Smith and Jigba. That'll be my I guess you could say rebuttal to it, is that I think he'll be a part of the mauling, getting involved.
He's definitely going to be a weapon for sure.
He's going to be a weapon for them in that. I'm going to play the same thing I played last week also. I gave you Brandon Cooks. This also goes to the feeling of, now, here's the thing with Cooks this week. I don't know who you put Surtain on, considering what the Bills are bringing out there. I'm going to guess Cooks might be the majority, of who Surtain's going to follow around because he probably presents the biggest deep threat for Buffalo. But for them, what they have in terms of healthy wideouts, 27.5, Doug, is too light for what Brandon. You've seen the usage. I mean, last week against Jacksonville, he blew through this. Coming down the stretch, right? He blew through this. He has to be a big part. I know Shakir caught 12 balls, but that was for like 65 yards. Cooks is going to be the guy who gets one down the field. And this is kind of like what I said with the Caleb Williams rush. This could be one catch over 27.5 yards for Brandon Cooks.
I like your style when it comes to that, right? Like that, I'm all in when you say it could be one catch.
It could be.
I do think Allen's going to have to throw the ball. They're not running on this Denver team much. So, yeah, if he's the weapon, I just don't think he's going to run wide open like he did against the Jags. But you don't need him to do that all game. You just need one catch in a lot of ways.
Hey, and these, look, you could kind of pick who you want your fighter to be, I guess, with the Bills. Like, if you don't want to go Cooks because you think Surtain's going to be on him. I know last week I was bashing Keon Coleman. He had one catch for 36 yards last week. His number's 20.5. They're forced to play him more. They have no choice. They lost.
They have no choice.
He's going to have to be on the field with Shavers and Gabe Davis now gone, whatever Curtis Samuel's role is tomorrow. So 20.5 is probably light for him. 21.5 is probably light for Dawson Knox. It's all about, I would pick one fighter on the Bills and hope that that's the kind of guy you go with, whether it's with the yards and with the touchdowns. So there you go, Doug. NFL Divisional Weekend. I'm pumped. Maybe I'm pumped because my team's playing. Maybe that's why I'm a little bit more jacked up and ready to go here. I can't tomorrow at 4:30 can't get here fast enough, Doug. I'm struggling. I just want to get to this
fired
game.
Up. I really am fired up for these games.
I want to get going with the Bills and the Broncos. All right. We have action tonight, though, that we must get to first on Betting Weekly Live because there's always money to be made. Let's go now to the NBA this evening where we have 6 games tonight. Kind of a light Friday, right, Doug? Usually there's pretty good slate on a Friday night. We only get 6 tonight. We do have ESPN doubleheader, and it starts with one of our favorites. Same 2 teams, same city and building, playing for the second time in 3 days. Cleveland, of course, was in Philly on Wednesday night, and they are still in Philly. Sixers minus 2.5, 232.5.
Yeah, this is interesting. We don't have really concrete predictive data on this where there's these 2-game series or even the home and home, the team that lost the first one. I would just say this. Kenny Atkinson was thrilled how smooth they were. I mean, they had 41 assists on 50 made field goals. It doesn't get much better than that, right? I just think there's a bounce back here to the Sixers. I'll take them. The reason the Cavs were so sharp, and I looked at, remember, it was first quarter, first half, because they lost the previous game by double-digit favorites at home to the Jazz. So it was a good bounce back spot. I think this is a bounce back spot for Philly. Don't love it because the Cavs are, I don't know, peaking's the right word, but they've kind of snapped out of their early funk, and the Sixers are still the Sixers. But it's enough for it's at least a lean for me to strongly consider playing.
Would it change your mind if everyone plays for the Sixers? I know how you feel about that sometimes when Embiid and George and Matt, when everybody's out there for them, sometimes they don't operate as well. I think they got a game time on Embiid and on George for tonight in that game. The second game on ESPN tonight, the Timberwolves are in Houston against the Rockets. Rockets, of course, second night of a back-to-back as they only scored 91 points last night in a 20-point loss at home to the Thunder. They are laying 4.5 here. 222 is the total.
Well, this Rockets team, I talked about the team total. They just can't make shots. They've been atrocious. They have now failed to cover in 7 straight games. They're 2-5 overall, even though they were a favorite in the first 6 of them. They're just kind of like in that mid-season funk, and they need a break, and they're not getting it. Like I said, the back-to-back now is just a team I just not thrilled about. Jabari Smith can't hit anything. They were 7 of 24 last night. So in the last 7 games, they're right around like 22%. So the T-Wolves with no Ant actually play really good defense, and Gobert's expected to go, although he missed the last game. So I think team total under's the way to go. I like the T-Wolves plus the 4.5, but maybe the Rockets eke it out. I just think the defense is going to be the focus here. So maybe if you want to wait to 112.5 and take better juice, I think minus 121 is a little tough, but I think this is the best bet of the board in the NBA. The team total of the Rockets, literally shooting 22% over 7 games. The first 5 games of this stretch, the single worst 3-point shooting percentage in the history of the NBA for a 5-game set. Yes, Kevin Durant's on the team. Yes, Reed Shepherd's on the team, but they just don't fit. Like Amen Thompson, the last game, 4 of 16. Jabari Smith's been absolutely a disaster. Durant was even poor shooting. Now, that was against the Thunder. But I think the T-Wolves, remember, they have that length, all those wiry guys with Gobert at the rim protector, and he's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year, if you ask me. So I think this is the right sort of matchup, and I think the T-Wolves know without Ant that defense is going to get it done. I love Chris Finch as a coach. I like Udoka too, but I love Finch. And I think 113 is way too big. I think 104.5 is like where they're going to linger in this game.
Yeah, for when you lay all that out about how atrocious it's been, and they're on the second night of a back-to-back. They scored 91 points last night. 113.5 seems like a lot. Now on the other side, Ant is out still for the T-Wolves. He's not playing. They do get Gobert back in there, which helps on the defensive front as well. But it has not been pretty for the Houston Rockets lately. Under 113.5 team total there for Doug. All right, other games tonight. Nets at home for the Bulls in Brooklyn, as the Nets have played a lot better over the last few weeks, and they're laying 1.5 here, 225.5.
I lean Nets here. Bulls are getting Kobe White back, so that's good for them. Still no Josh Giddey, but they got a big win over Utah, so they had to gut it out. Whereas the Nets have lost a few straight, so I think who wants it more? A little desperation here. Nets have lost 5 in a row. Remember, they were road favorites. We were giggling about in New Orleans, so I think the Nets get this done. Now, I can't bet on it because it's the Brooklyn Nets as a favorite, but I do think even though they've lost 5 straight, I think they bounce back in this spot.
Late night. Everyone always loves when the Wizards and the Kings get together. It's just the best. 2 of the best in the NBA. How bad are you when you get in 7.5 from the Kings? And the Kings, they've played a little better too. They did beat the Knicks the other night. 233 flat is the total here. Kings laying 7.5.
Yeah, I might be able to interest you in a Sacramento Monday night parlay as one leg. Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to lay like 2-something on the money line with the Kings?
286.
So the Wizards have a lot of guys out. Of course, Trae Young's out to the All-Star break. They've traded C.J. McCollum. No Chris Middleton tonight. No Koulibaly. And no some other guys. So it looking like a lot of Trey Johnson, a lot of Keyshawn George, a lot of Bub Carrington and Champagnie, the brother of the Spurs, Champagnie. So I think Keyshawn George is the bet. He's been pretty solid in these games. He's the brother of Keontae George, and he can fly over. I mean, he might be in the mid-20s against this Kings defense. No one on that Sacramento team plays a whole lot of defense. They're going to want to push. This total's in like the 240s or 230s. So George, I think, is the beneficiary of all these guys out. By the way, I was looking at some stat lines to figure out who's going to get the usage. Alex Sarr. 15 rebounds the other night. He's starting center, 15. Nice rebound, right? Before the game before and the game after that 15 rebound performance, just one rebound in each of those.
Now, did he same amount of minutes? I mean, was he in there for like a similar amount of time, or was like
really impressed? No, in the last game Clippers, he only played 13 minutes, but same amount of minutes in the game before against the Pelicans.
Wasn't that now? Correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, because you know this better than me. Now, last year, didn't he kind of do this? Like he would have a couple games where you're like, man, I could see why they took him so high with the draft, and then he would do nothing for like 10 games, right? And then he would show back up with a huge game. Is that kind of been Sarr's thing since he's come in the league?
Yeah, I mean, look, it was the worst draft. He went behind Risa Shea. Doesn't mean he's a terrible player. Just means he's not really a number 2 overall pick. And of course, you go to the Wizards. Things don't exactly happen.
Yeah.
I just think it's crazy because he's been shooting some threes. So he I think he thinks he's a 3 some games, and then the other days he's a 5. So it's just kind of funny and just impossible to predict his prediction. I mean, frankly, I don't think the Kings rebound that well. Their centers from Stanford, I'm blanking on his name, but I figure like there'll be rebounds to be had out there with these two teams, and they're going to be the pace of maybe Westbrook grabs a bunch. I don't know, but to your point, there's got to be better things to do on a Friday night than attend this game, but for us to watch this game.
All right, Doug. One stuck out to me. You always love when an NBA game sticks out to me, and here it is. Ridiculous travel spot for the Clippers. Now, we talked about Doc belly aching yesterday, and by the way, nice effort by the Bucks in San Antonio last night. Now, this is a travel situation I would bellyache about. The Clippers were just out east for like a week and a half, came home like Sunday, played 2 games. They were home for 4 days. And now they're back on the East Coast in Toronto against the Raptors. No Kawhi tonight. Give me the Raptors tonight, Doug. Late at 2. Let's go.
Yeah, that does seem to be the right play. That is a strange trip, right? I think the Raptors probably get it done without Kawhi for the Clippers. I think it's probably an under, but then I could see them being Raptors wanting to run them out of the gym. But my Clippers at 50-1 to win the Pacific. I don't want to, I want to keep supporting them. But yeah, this is a tough travel spot for sure. I see where you're coming from. You got customs to clear. A lot of things going on here.
I always like these crazy travel situations, Doug, in all these sports. Anything I can grab when it comes to travel, I always try to jump into it. And the only game I didn't mention, and probably for good reason, is the Pelicans and the Pacers tonight in Indiana. That's who the
Raptors just beat. Pacers had their 3-game win streak snapped. Pelicans on the road here. I think New Orleans is probably the right side here, but I can't get involved. So like you said, good to just skip it and avoid it. You got trade rumors with Ja Morant and no Herb Jones. And I just think this Pacers team, they got to start tanking at some point. So I don't even know. All these guys are playing, but that's not going to last for long.
Not going to last for long, indeed. And one last NBA note I will give you, because you said this the other day. So Orlando won in Germany yesterday.
Yeah.
And Memphis money line is plus 170 in London on Sunday afternoon. Memphis, the play?
Yeah, I think it is. Look, it was a tight game until the final quarter, right? And Memphis, I think, led by like 30. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Like 17 after 1 or something crazy like that. I'd play Memphis plus the 5. I'd play the money line as well. I think they get this W. Some of my favorite Grizzlies didn't play that well in the last game, but you got Jaren Jackson Jr. also in the rumored to be maybe traded to the Celtics and some other, maybe the Pistons. I don't think the Pistons are going to disrupt anything. I really don't. Maybe a role player off the bench, like a sharpshooter or something like that. But other than that, I don't see it. But Lakers are not trading Austin Reeves for Jaren Jackson Jr. But I think that's the only side I would play. Only play I would make in that game would be the Grizzlies plus the points.
Grizzlies about getting 5.5 right now for that game on Sunday.
That's the key number in the NBA. That is the key number. 5 is the most common margin of victory.
There you go. Sunday in London, right there in an NFL playoff game. Why not? They've marketed these European games so well. You might as well go the whole way and have nobody watch. But that's hey. They'll be happy in London, Doug. Everybody there will be pumped up for that.
No, we're Sunday's early, later kickoff. So
yeah, that's true.
That's an early tip. It'll be opposite some women's college basketball.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, let's get to college basketball for this evening and some big games on the weekend. Now, a couple decent games here on Friday night. Let me start with we should start with the Baylor Kansas game. And then we'll get to the other one. So Baylor is going to Fog Island tonight. Kansas right now minus 7.5, 157.5 the total.
So if there's a team I've seen in my head just the last decade actually win at the Fog and things like that, it's Baylor, right? They've gotten stuff done. And I think that's a little tricky spot for the Jayhawks. They got the big win in their last game, taking down undefeated second-ranked Iowa State. So if there is a flat spot, it is here. But they go on the road to Colorado next week. So I think they're going to be up for this game. I just think they were really up for that Iowa State game. So I'm not in a rush to lay the Kansas 7.5. I like Drew as a coach for the Bears, but they leave a lot to be desired. So I was thinking a money line parlay with KU, but I also think they'll start a little slow. But I do think this team is going to get outclassed. So maybe a Kansas and Sacramento Kings money line parlay, only minus 141. Only minus 141. Now
Minus
you would think, like,
141.
why would you do that with the Kings? But this Wizards team is garbage. And having DeRozan, having Westbrook, there is an element of professionalism on this team, right? The effort and execution. Why not?
Why not? Getting involved there for you tonight. How about the late night Mountain West game of the year, or the game of the week, I should say. We always love these late night Mountain West games. Colorado State and Boise State. Boise minus 5.5, 138.5.
It's been a little rough start for the Broncos. They're typically been almost like a contender in this conference every year, but they're 1-5 to start. Now, they've had some tough games, although they just went to UNLV and lost in overtime, and Pastner did not foul up 3 in the final seconds. Broncos hit a 3 to force OT, but UNLV did get it done. But they've played Grand Canyon. They've played San Diego State. They've played Utah State. I mean, all like the really good teams, Nevada, and then they actually beat New Mexico at home. This game's at home, too. Now, Colorado State is okay. They're not – well, no one's Air Force bad, but Colorado State lost at Fresno by 10. They somehow beat Grand Canyon, but that was fluky. They lost by 42 at Utah State. As long as Buchanan plays for Boise, I think we're okay here. But all signs point to him playing. I think Boise desperately needs this game. Off a few losses, this is a step down in competition. They should be just fine in this game, but it's still 5.5. It's no fun, but they're the better team. They just need this game. They really do. So I'm expecting them to take care of business. And UNLV is pretty good. Like, losing at the Rebels is nothing to sneeze at. I think they went off as like 3-point favorites, whereas I think it opened 4.5. But I think Boise State's the right side here. I'd lay it.
Henry's going after you here. Colorado State plus 200 money line. Boise cannot be trusted, he says. Boise cannot be trusted. Yeah, but
look at the quality of the opponent. I'll say this. If I do a best bet and it's Boise, you're fine, Henry. But if it's not, then I think I'll probably win.
That's very true. Late to the chat, but TV for the hits. Thank you for the hits last night. Yes, we had a couple good ones, Steve. We certainly did.
Volume.
No question there. The one that caught my eye is DePaul, who is home for Marquette tonight, laying 2.5, 144.5 to total. Marquette stinks, Doug. They stink.
Is DePaul much better?
Well, not much better, but I'll say this about DePaul. When they've had equal or lesser opponents come into their building so far in the Big East, Georgetown, Xavier, they beat them both. And they beat them both, 9-point win over Xavier at home, 6-point win over Georgetown at home. They've taken care of the lesser teams when they've come in their building. I'm going to lay the 2.5 with DePaul tonight against Marquette.
I mean, look, I'm using the Kings in a money line parlay. So who am I to judge? Who am I to judge?
Maybe I'm feeling myself a little too much after Bryant last night to be jumping on the DePaul wagon here against Marquette. There is an earlier Big East game. Creighton
and
Friday
night for us, huh?
I know. We got
Kings, Wizards, DePaul, Marquette.
Creighton laying 2.5 on the road at the Dunk against Providence. I know they call it something else now. I'm going to invoke what you do in Pittsburgh. Yes, they changed the name. So I'm going to invoke what you do in Pittsburgh. I still call it the Dunk. I don't care that they changed the name.
I'm all for that.
Providence catching 2.5 at home. Let's go. There it is. Henry wants to know. Dougie Buckets, any lean? Providence, Creighton.
Little post-game drinks at prime time. 80-cent beers on Wednesdays. I got nothing in this game. I would take home dog if I had to. But I don't have a good read on this team. Although Creighton's burned me a couple times. Maybe I'm just bitter towards the Blue Jays.
That's probably it. I'll go Providence tonight. I'll have a little fun. I'll do the Big East double with Providence and DePaul tonight, the two home teams. All right, weekend games. Let's give you quickly some of the big ones. Virginia at SMU, just after Nooney's tip there. Right now, Virginia road favorite minus 1.5.
So I love Virginia first half. SMU off the half quarter, whatever it was, 3-pointer. That's always who you want to fade. Early tip. I mean, just think about it. As a media member, you go to practice on Friday, you're asking them questions. You're still asking them about the half court shot. Okay. They're still on cloud nine. They're still talking about it on campus. Virginia's been such a good bet on team so far this year. They took care of business at Louisville the other night. We had them, right?
Yeah.
They won 4 in a row. They're just really, really reliable. And I think it's an extremely flat spot for SMU. I'll isolate the first half. If you can get some game props tomorrow morning, like first to 10, first to 20, I'm looking at that. I think the Who's are going to be buttoned up here.
Florida at Vandy Saturday afternoon. Vandy coming off, of course, first loss of the year. They're laying 3.5 at home to Florida.
So I go back and forth with these. I think on one hand, it's a great bounce back spot for the Doors, but sometimes these things happen in pairs. And I think I talked about it the other day with Michigan, right? They had the Penn State game where they nearly lost on the road. And then the next game, they lost at home as a 20-point favorite to Whiskey. So I just wonder if it just lingers a little bit and Vandy doesn't just automatically bounce back. It almost takes 2 of these types of games, but I think it's a good spot to fade Florida as well. So I've gone back and forth. Vandy's probably the right play at that short number, but sometimes don't just assume it's just an automatic bounce back all the time.
Do not. Never assume anything, Doug. You can never assume anything. There are only 3 unbeatens left in major college basketball. Of course, number 1, Arizona is one of them. They take the nice trip to Orlando here. Minus 9.5. 165.5 to total. Now, just this is what catches my eye, Doug, just from us doing this, of course, all the time. We've been doing Arizona, and I know a lot of these games have been at home, but I've been seeing 17.5s, 21.5s, 20.5s. Now I got a 9.5. I get it's a pretty long trip down to Orlando, but against this UCF team.
Arizona's the best team in the conference, right? That goes without saying. But these other teams are pretty good, and they've beaten Kansas at home. They've also won on the road. So UCF's not like just terrible and things like that. I just get a little scared with this Arizona team. I think the times I want to fade the Wildcats is when they're laying those 17.5s you're talking about, and you just get them in a sleepy spot. I think they'll be up for this game, but it's big travel, and it's just weird in this conference to be traveling this kind of distance. So I guess I lean to the home dog, but I don't love it.
By the way, the other 2 undefeated teams, Nebraska is at Northwestern, and Miami of Ohio is home for Buffalo, Doug, just to tell you what the other 2 unbeatens are doing. And me and you were talking about that Nebraska line before we came on. Seems a little weird at Northwestern. What Nebraska?
I'm laying it. It's 4.5, some 5.5. Like it's just a bad matchup for the Purple Cats. I mean, Martinelli can shoot, but that's about it. And I think this Nebraska team, all these teams, all these undefeateds are going down. It will happen soon for Nebraska. They're at Chrysler Arena in a week, I believe. I just don't think it's going to happen at Northwestern.
Arkansas at Georgia. This also short number. This down a pickup now for Georgia. 179.5. Let's go.
Well, that's some weird. He asked about the Auburn game, and then he was all like messing around. He wasn't serious with those facial expressions. Just strange. And I love him. I think he's entertaining. I think he's good for the sport. I don't know what to make of this. I think he was hoping a team would lose just because he was facing them, and then this game with, I don't know. I'm not entirely locked in on this game. I think Georgia probably gets it.
BYU at Texas Tech, of course, 16-1 BYU, catching 3.5 in Lubbock here, 159.5.
Texas Tech's really buttoned up. We've talked about them. I love their coach and everything, but BYU, man, they're flying under the radar. I bet you there's not a lot of like tickets for them to win it all. Maybe they are because of Debanza, but I like this BYU team a lot. I think they answer a lot of sort of resistance from opponents. This number's come up from 2.5. feels like it's a little high. I think 2.5, 3 is the right price, but I'm not getting involved.
There you go. Very good weekend of college hoops. And Stanford came through for me the other night. I don't think they'll be as good against Duke, though, tomorrow. Doug. Stanford did come through against North Carolina.
Yeah, so Stanford got there. Cal just blew it, man. They were right there, and then Duke stepped on the gas, won by 15, covering, what was it, 12 and a half?
I had 14 and a half with Cal. So that shows you where I was that night. That didn't go well for me with the 15. Good weekend.
Get it together.
College hoops. Of course, if you like what you see here on Betting Weekly Live, as you should, make sure you subscribe to the Betting Weekly Studios channel on YouTube. You can, of course, catch us and all of our other shows, including Betting Weekly Extra Time. Dan Roebuck, Steve Wiss, and James Eastham get you ready for all of this weekend's European soccer action. We have a full card, all the bets and angles. The guys have got you cooking here. Dan, Steve, and James, Betting Weekly Extra Time. Get involved. All right, hockey and then the best bets, and we'll get out of here, Doug. Very light night, only 5 games in the NHL this evening. One game on NHL Network, which is Florida and Carolina. And I've been down this road with you a couple times now already this year. The Florida Panthers own the Carolina Hurricanes. They have beat them 8 of their last 9. We talked the first 2 times they played this year about the revenge angle. Florida beat the hell out of them in the playoffs last year, beat them in 5. You would have thought Carolina was going to come back this year with a purpose. They've played them twice, and they've lost twice to them, including one game where they completely yacked up a lead in the third period. Panthers plus 150 in Carolina tonight. I'm going to keep riding them.
All right. And have we handicapped at all the effort and the non-skate around when they go to the White House?
That's they did do that yesterday.
Practice,
was it yesterday
right?
did it, Florida?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, just whatever the sequence of the normal travel schedule, whether it's shoot around, how you say shoot around, morning skate, all that stuff.
Morning skate.
You got to factor that in, right?
You do got to factor that in. Probably. Maybe, you know what? Maybe that's why it's 150, considering how much they've dominated the Hurricanes.
Look, we had the Sabres yesterday, right?
And that ended up being the banger over of the night, was that Sabre Canadian game, which was awesome for us. The Leaf Vegas game.
Kraken back-to-back, couldn't hang in Beantown.
Nope. Beantown got it done. The over in the Pittsburgh Philadelphia game was a banger too. That was like 6-3. We got tons of goals. So we could.
These trends are clicking, is my point.
Yes. San Jose, second night of a back-to-back. They were in Washington last night. They won. They're in Detroit tonight. This could be a good one too with the 6.5. I think San Jose over in 9 of their last 10, Doug. They've been playing a lot of high-scoring games. I was kind of hoping this would be a 6. And, of course, we could use the slider. I mean, that's always there for us if we would like to go there. And if we did do that, the 6 is minus 141. Kind of like your Kansas-Sacramento parlay, minus 141 if we put the slider down. I like this over.
Yeah. I mean, the Sharks aren't at the tank, so it's not a Bay Area parlay in theory. I mean, in terms of location. But yeah, I mean, at least these are in sequential order. It's not concurrently, so you can kind of sweat one and then sweat the other.
Yes. The Lightning have won 11 in a row, and they're in St. Louis tonight against the Blues, who are, of course, one of the worst teams in the Western Conference. That's a big number. Puck line, the Lightning tonight, they just keep winning every night.
What's a Lightning Avalanche parlay pay?
Lightning Avalanche money line parlay.
It's got to be under $2. I mean, it's under $2.
Let me get it up here. Oh, I have to clear out all the interceptions that we had working for us. I got to get rid of all the interceptions. Give me a moment.
I got it for you. Minus 109.
Ooh.
Wow.
All right. Changing my mind at the end there.
Best bet?
Sorry, DePaul. Getting out of the DePaul business tonight, Doug. I'm going to go with that.
I think you did the world a favor.
Oh, come on. We could have had some fun with DePaul tonight.
Don't have to watch is the key. I mean,
that is true, too. And, of course, we have a late-night banger with the Ducks and the Kings, who are actually playing tonight and tomorrow night. They'll flip and go down the freeway. And they've played some high-scoring ones this year, too, and it's a flat 6. So We all
that would be I-5. I think they're going to go down the 5 freeway.
Whichever
on that one.
I don't know you know, obviously, Doug, that better than me. That's your neck of the woods there. I'm not familiar with what each one's called. I just know that there's a freeway connecting Anaheim and Los Angeles. That's pretty much all I have in terms of the general maps of what goes on over there. I don't care what they call it. Over 6 tonight with the Ducks and the Kings at the
Fired up.
So let's do it.
This Kings team all of a sudden's an over
players. Yes. All right. Let me slide this in. Hawaii tonight, PGA Tour. You ready, Doug? 3 balls that I'm going to play tonight. Nick Taylor played great yesterday. He won last year. He's been unbelievable. Plus 188 over Aaron Ryan, Bobby Mack. I'm going to play Nicky Dunlap, who played great yesterday. Plus 240 over Patton Kizzire and Rico Hoey. And I'm going to play Seamus Power over Sahith Theegala and this Norwegian dude, Ritan, because he could barely, he couldn't find the fairway at all yesterday. Plus 150 Theegala. I don't know what happened to him the last 2 years. But I'm going to take those 3 guys: Nick Taylor, Nick Dunlap, and Seamus Power tonight, Doug. 3 because
full
why?
Names on these. That's a lot of letters.
I can never play 3 balls on a Friday night at 8, 9 o'clock and watch them, so I have to do it. It's like a must for me. I got 3 guys in the top 10 right now.
Reminds me of during COVID, there was horse racing in Japan, I think, and I was firing dollars and $2 and $3. Just because it was horse racing at night. So that was awesome. So yeah, little nighttime 3 ball.
Nighttime 3 ball there. All right. It is time. The best bets, the daily double here on Betting Weekly Live. You put it down for me and I just had to go and pick it up. I think you did it because you knew I was going to take DePaul and you wanted to get as far away from that as possible.
Who am I to steer anyone on best bets right now? You're giving me too much credit.
I am going to take that Avalanche Lightning money line parlay tonight, which pays minus 109 now. It's moved a little. Minus 109 for the Avalanche and the Lightning money line parlay in the NHL.
Right. Rockin' share wins, hopefully. Obviously have the better teams in each matchup, so you deserve it. Let's bring that home. I'm going to go to the NBA. I touched on it. Fading the Rockets these days. Team total under 113.5. It's just such a big number for a team that is shooting 22% from 3 over 7 games. So back-to-back. Yes, the Thunder were the team they faced yesterday, but this T-Wolves squad without Ant plays a lot of defense. Gobert's back, protecting the rim. Rockets, for whatever reason, it's Durant, it's Shepherd. They're just not making shots. It's a lot of Amen Thompson. It's a lot of Jabari Smith Jr. 113.5 is a big number. Let's get back in the win column for the best bet.
I like it, baby. So Tampa Bay, Colorado, NHL, heavy chalk money line parlay with the under 113.5 Houston Rockets team total plus 250 for the daily double tonight at Bet Rivers on Betting Weekly Live. Let's go, baby. Scott with a thank you, guys. Have a great weekend. Enjoy getting to watch this live. We enjoy having you, Scott.
Thank you.
With us live here on Betting Weekly Live. We've had a lot of great comments lately. We really love that everybody's tuning in, getting involved in the chat box. It's excellent. And stay with us, of course, every weekday, 4 p.m. East, 1 p.m. Pacific for Betting Weekly Live. Betting Weekly Studios, part of the Bet Rivers Network. Doug, have a great weekend. Enjoy all the games. We are back on Monday, and it doesn't stop. Indiana, Miami. College football national championship on Monday night. A lot of day games too, right? NBA and NHL. A lot of day games with MLK Day. So we will have a lot of live action too when we get on board. Mike Carver, Doug Kezirian.
I'm gonna have a prop in that game on Monday for us.
Ooh, prop on Monday. Make sure you're here. Mike Carver, Doug Kezirian, Betting Weekly Live. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here Monday, 4 East, 1 West. Have a good weekend.